Okay, if you haven't figured it out by now, everything that we learn is kind of building up and building up and building up and building up, uh, kind of slowly increasing the complexity or the difficulty. So here we are now at the end of the fractions section. And the last thing we need to do now is using the order of operations to simplify fractions. Okay, so we're going to be kind of looking at even some of the most, difficult fractions to try and simplify. So let's look at the uh, first example. Oh, but let me get these three steps. So step one is to simplify the expression in the numerator. Step two, simplify the expression in the denominator. And then step three, simplify the whole fraction. All right, so let's look at this first one. So according to GEJMDAS, first we want to do what's inside the groups. And there's really nothing inside of each grouping symbol that we need to apply, no mathematical operations. We don't have any exponents. Juxtaposition, we do have that. So we have juxtaposition here, implied multiplication with 4 and -3, juxtaposition there between 6 and -2, and juxtaposition there between -3 and 2. So we'll go ahead and carry out those multiplications. So 4 times -3 is -12. And that's going to be plus, let me go ahead and put that in parentheses. And then 6 times -2 is also -12. And down here in the denominator, we've got -3 times +2. That's -6 minus 2. Okay, -12 plus -12, we can think of that as -12 minus +12. So that's one way to look at it. And then we've got -6 minus 2. And -12 minus 12 will be -24. And -6 minus 2 will be -8. All right, now since we've got two negatives, right, two of the same sign, that means our result's going to be positive. And it just so happens that we can write 24 as 8 times 3, and that's over 8. So guess what? Common factors. And that leaves us with an answer of +3. All right, so let me give you the answer for this next one. Use what I just did as a model and see if you can get the correct answer on this other one. So the answer for this one should be -20 over 17. All right, let's go down to the next example. All right, let's put GEJMDAS in here to remind us. So we'll work on this example. So first, grouping symbols. So there's only one grouping symbol, that's this parentheses here, but there's nothing inside it we need to do. Next is exponents. So we do have an exponent. So let's work on that. Oh, we got two of them. Got this one down here too. So in the numerator, 1/2 to the second power means we're going to multiply 1/2 times itself twice. And then we've got 4 plus, and now 3 squared means we're going to multiply 3 twice. All right, and when multiplying fractions, okay, we covered this earlier, you multiply the numerators and you multiply the denominators. So 1 times 1 is 1, and 2 times 2 is 4. And down here in the denominator, we're going to have 4 plus 3 times 3 is 9, and 4 plus 9 is 13. Okay, so what do we do with this? Well, we kind of use that trick that I mentioned before, in that we can think of 13 as 13 over 1, and we can multiply top and bottom by the reciprocal of the denominator. So we can multiply the denominator by 1 over 13. Okay, these two are reciprocals. And if we multiply the bottom by 1 over 13, we have to multiply the top also by 1 over 13. So I guess we'll cancel out. So we're left with 1/4 times 1/13. And when multiplying two fractions, you just multiply the numerators and keep those together, and multiply the denominators and keep that in the denominator. So the answer is 1 over 52. So once you give this think, pair, share a try, and I'll give you the answer for that. It should be 1 over 90. Okay. I believe this is our last, is this our last example? Yeah, this is our last example. This one looks like a lot of fun, right? So, again, with GEJMDAS, okay. So we don't have any grouping symbols. We don't have any exponents. There's no juxtaposition or multiplication or division. All we have is adding and subtracting here. Okay, but what's the problem? The problem is that our denominators are different, both in numerator and denominator. So we can't just, add 1/2 and 2/3. We can't do that yet. And we can't add or subtract 3/4 from 1/6 because the denominators aren't the same. So what we need to recognize here is that our least common multiple here in the numerator is going to be 2 and 3, which will be 6. And our least common multiple here in the denominator is going to be, yeah, so it's going to be 2 2s and a 3, which will be 12. Right, so first we have to work on our numerator here. So we've got 1/2 plus 2/3. And so in order to make these have denominators of a 6, we're going to have to multiply this one by 3 over 3 and this one by 2 over 2. Right, you can see 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times 2 is 6. So that's good. And then down here in the denominator, we've got 3/4 minus 1/6. Okay, so we know that we need a least common multiple of 12 down here. And so we can see the least common multiple is made of 4, which means we can use 3 here. And then the other part of least common multiple is composed of 6. And what we have left is 2. So we can multiply this by 2 over 2. And this fraction here, we're going to have 3 times 1, which is 3 over 6, plus 2 times 2, which is 4 over 6, all over 3 times 3, which is 9 over 12, minus 1 times 2, which is 2 over 12. So now we've accomplished our task of getting the numerators fractions to have a common denominator and the fractions in the denominator to also have a common denominator. So now we're free to actually add and subtract these. So let me go ahead. And so I've got enough room. So here in the numerator, 3/6 plus 4/6 They have a common denominator of 6, and 3 plus 4 is 7. And that's all over. 9 twelfths minus 2 twelfths, they have a common denominator of 12. And 9 minus 2 is 7. All right, so let me rewrite that over here. So we have 7/6 all over 7/12. And just to be a little bit different from the last problem, I'm going to rewrite this fraction as a division. So this is the same as saying 7/6 divided by 7/12. And if you remember earlier, I can change this division into multiplication if I do the reciprocal of this second fraction. So if I flip 7 and 12, I'll have 12 over 7. So what we've got is we have 7 times 12 all over 6 times 7. And let me write that over here again. 7 times 12 over 6 times 7. And I'm going to write 12 as 2 times 6. And the reason why I did that is because now I'm noticing that 7 over 12 and 7 times 12 over 6 times 7 as common factors. So we can cancel a 7 with a 7 and a 6 with a 6. And all we're left with is 2. So that's our answer. 1/2 plus 2/3 all over 3/4 minus 1/6, when simplified, simplifies down to 2. So try this same process on this think pair share, and the answer you should get is -2/5. Give that a try.